Welcome to TradeRep. This is Short Hammer. It is the 10th of October, 2019, and we are taking a look at Tesla. Now, Tesla, the last few days, and this is on a daily chart, has been pushing up. And if we look back on Tesla, we remember this drop post earnings where we hit the 180s. Buyers stepped in and pushed us from this supply demand zone to this supply demand zone. This being a downtrend going back to February, I believe. We bought back above that downtrend, and I thought this was it. Like Tesla's gonna, crawl slowly, bit by bit, back to 300. We broke above this, pulled back to this supply demand zone, kind of been going a little sideways. Now, my expectation on Tesla is each time it's hit this trend line or approached this trend line, we see a rejection. One here, one here, one here, and another here. Is this time different? And what would make it different? There is news, I believe, that says that, let's see, where are we? So this is news. That's kind of news. This is not great news. Tesla's self-driving feature glitchy. It's just it's kind of variable news. There's no straight line great news that would make us rally. So for me, I'm watching the technicals, which is what I usually watch anyway. And at this level, it's a no trade as far as a swing until we get above this supply demand zone. And then I can take it to the next supply demand zone using the bottom of this as my stop. But as of right now, where Tesla is, to me, there seems to be a higher probability of a pullback than there would be of a breakthrough and a leg. So that's what I'm watching for on Tesla as far as the higher time frames. We did see the supply demand zones. We're approaching the 248.45 by 252.74. And for me, we need to break above and hold that zone to be able to take this to the next leg. And even if I did get in here, I would be looking to exit on the high wave of this 266-ish area. I'll be scaling out because I would expect that at that point, there's a potential that buyers may start to say, hey, let me get out here. And that's proven to be pretty valuable, not to necessarily wait for the next zone, but to scale out most of my position and leave some to see if we can make it to the next zone. Now let's take a peek at the lower time frame. Let's say a 5 minute, or we can actually look at a 4 hour, to be honest. Let's see if how different does the 4 hour look here. So on the 4 hour, we're not quite reaching the trend line here, and just a slight pullback. And it looks as if we may push on the 4 hour. On the daily chart, it's like we're going to pull back. On the 4 hour, it looks like we may push. We have to see what we get. If this is the beginning of this, or if this and this are similar, we get a slight push up after this. So we have to see what happens. I'll be watching this. Let's see on the lower time frame on my charts. I'm gonna set some alerts on Tesla at some of these levels. So today on Tesla, what was the potential play? Well, on this flare down, if you looked back to the previous day, and this was Tuesday, you saw the dip here, a dip here, and sort of riding this line here, and we dropped below it. After hours, popped back above and back tested and springboarded. Now, would I enter here? Probably not. There'd have to be news or something where I thought that it was more some sort of like maybe people swung as a profit taking or something that gave us a pullback and a flare down here, or someone sold at a weird price for me to get in on this flare down, because this could be an easy continuation, and you see the flare down, then it just rolls over and sells through. But if I did enter here, I would be using the 200 SMA and the main intraday pivot, this yellow dash line, and the quarterly pivot is my stops. So like a close below would be my stops. But for me, the trade was here. Yesterday we had issues closing above this weekly pivot here. And so when you look at the pre-market, you see the rejection, boom, boom, rejected twice. So I would wait. This flare down wouldn't get in. That to me is a risky entry. You can still take it if you trust the setup. And then you can use this low wave, which happens to coincide with this area. One of the trades that Elisa will probably take here as your stop. I'm waiting for the break above. So this flare through. Now I'm watching you really closely. I like this rejection, rejection, and we're just building up that momentum and this push through. Okay, on this pullback, I'm in, and my exit would be the low of this candle. So if we went back below the low of this candle, that's my exit. And so I'm in, and we are kind of buying up, and I would probably be scaling out some at this area here. See these, look at these upper wicks on this push up. I'll be scaling some out. On the pullback under, I would probably have a bit left, and I would almost be stopped out based on the low of this candle. But we didn't quite get there. Buyer stepped in, we held, and we took the next leg up. And that's what I would be watching for on Tesla. And I actually did take a trade on Tesla. Got long Tesla today. Worked out. But that's what I would be looking for on Tesla, not necessarily this entry. And it's easy to look back on charts and say where you would have gotten in, but that's hindsight. That's always 2020. In real time, for me, being that I'm more of a conservative trader, I'm watching for the break of prior levels. I'm watching for the break of pre-market, the test of pre-market levels. I want to see that, hey, at these areas previously, the supply was higher than demand if I'm looking for a long. And now the demand has overwhelmed the supply. So that previous supply area has now become a demand area. And that's what I look for. And once that happens, then I could use that point as my launch point for my trade, whether long or whether short. And that would be my launch point. Like if we had opened up and we had this candle, and the next candle was here, and then we went under and we back tested, and I'd see this area here and the pivots and 200, and we're back testing that, I would fade to this next area here. And you can see just this accumulation here. I would fade back to this. But as we're approaching these upper wicks, which is not that far, I'll be watching for any buying stepping in. And if buyers start to step in, I'll be scaling out. But this was my view on Tesla. And now going into tomorrow, let's see. Our main intraday pivot is at 244.16. We'll have to see if we are able to buy up above that. And then we have to watch and see. I want to see where the 200 SMA is in the morning too. And also the overall market sentiment and the trend. And if there's any new news on Tesla. So Tesla may not be my main watch tomorrow. It's probably going to be Amazon, just because it's the end of the week. The beauty of Amazon Premium is a little bit less at the end of the week. And for me, if the volatility is up on a ticker and I have to pay more for the option, I'm usually not interested in paying more for the same movement that I might be able to get on another ticker that doesn't have quite that volatility. Like for me to get into something that has the volatility is up and the premium is juiced, there has to be range enough to say, okay, I'm going to pay 30% more than normal for this option. My expectation is that it moves in a way that makes me forget how much I paid for the premium. Like I'm paying all this extra for this juiced option. I need this thing to go. You pay extra for a juicy steak or the steak that appears juicy, that steak is dry, you're going to have a problem. So I'm going to be watching this tomorrow, this yellow dash line, the main intraday pivot, see what we do around there, and watch the previous day's levels. I'll be watching what like the areas where buyers stepped in. So this area here, the 244.57, it's right above this 244.16. What do buyers do there? I'll be watching that. I'll be watching this area here, these lower wicks in this 245.33. That's the area I'd be watching. these upper wicks here, 246 whole dollar, right in that area I'll be watching. Just the top 246.44 I'll be watching. And then the 247.28. So just, and I had to go back through this a little bit later. I'm just going to mark these levels. I'm going to see if they're anything tomorrow. Then maybe it may be a nothing burger, but I'm just going to mark those levels headed into tomorrow, and we'll see if they are something or they're nothing. That area on the back test, the break here, that's something to watch. But we extend cool. So these are those. That's what I'm watching for tomorrow, and I'll see if these areas hold up. I want to see where we go pre-market, and we'll see if those areas hold up. And yep, that is what I'm looking at on Tesla, and we shall see how it works out. We had a nice little spike after hours. We had a flush, and then we had a spike. That's why you had to be so careful, because the news is so variable. From one moment to the next, you never know whether we'll be up 20 points or down 20 points. Just a tweet or a press release by China, it doesn't matter. Anything that comes out is liable to take the market in either direction. And we still have the interest rate cut situations going on. We have economic data. It's just so many. We have political data. There's so much stuff that's happening and churning in the market right now that you really have to keep it tight. And like we say, trade in pockets. Find pockets all around. There's turbulence. Find pockets of smooth air, and that's where you take your trade. Man, this thing is so variable.